Potomac Lighthouse, for over 150 years a beacon for ships traveling the St. Lawrence Seaway, and still an important landmark for bass fishermen. At the mouth of the St. Lawrence River, it's the gateway to Lake Ontario, the Bermuda Triangle for bass tournament fishermen. Enter it, and you gamble on getting back to the weigh-in on time. But for BASS tournament pros, no guts, no glory.
I don't think that that anything will stop me other than just can't get there. You know, I'll go until I can't go anymore. There's a lot of fish here, Bob.
Well, that means if it's twice as rough, I'll still go. You know, everybody talks about confidence and concentration. Well, there's actually 3 C's. And when a tournament like this, you got to have one other one, and that's courage.
Tournament bass fishing, a tough way to make a living. But for some, the money's good. We're at the $188,000 New York Invitational at Clayton, New York. The weather is a story here. Strong winds and 6 to 8 foot waves are forecast for the next 3 days. Catching bass isn't the worry. They're biting. But getting to the fish and back, it's a challenge. This is going to be a hard-nosed bass tournament. I'm Bob Cobb. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with first-round action in the New York Invitational from the famous Thousand Islands region.
French Creek Marina, Clayton, New York. Day 1 checkout. The start of the $188,000 Bassmaster New York Invitational. This is a big one. 330 anglers, an international lineup. Bass Angler Sportsman Society's pros from 35 states, Canada, Mexico, and Japan. First prize, $35,000. But for these competitors, pounds and ounces of bass are the objective. For it's the qualifying start of the 1993 Bassmasters Classic World Championship. Heavy creels here will go a long way toward making it into the August championship. The pros are paired by computer drawing. They check out and return to the weigh-in by flights. BASS tournament officials make last-minute safety inspections and pass out boat-numbered flags and an all-important slip of paper. Today's weather advisory. Southwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots, a rough ride. But Lake Ontario won't be off-limits this morning. The daily tournament limit is 5 bass. There's a 12-inch minimum size. But a limit of keepers is no problem if you get on the right rock pile or weed line. The smallmouth gang up in Lake Ontario, feeding on the small minnow-like alewife. A flashy spinnerbait mimics the food fish. And Louisiana angler Tim Malone is onto the right pattern. Georgia pro Roger Farmer and Malone are casting to an underwater rock reef in the Henderson Bay area of Ontario. And the smallmouth are eating it up. 2-time Bass Angler of the Year Jimmy Houston of Oklahoma knows this area well. Houston won the 1985 New York Invitational with 43 pounds, 9 ounces. And his spinnerbait tactics are still good. Being a Watson, Louisiana-based angler hasn't provided young Tim Malone with much smallmouth bass fishing experience, but he's a quick student. Tim's working on a 5 bass limit. And the old pro Jimmy Houston is catching him. His tandem willow leaf spinnerbait is doing the job.
Yeah, my raincoat.
Nearby, Dower Combs of Cookson, Oklahoma, has the spinnerbait pattern working too. Combs is the son-in-law of Houston. But maybe more importantly is that Combs' partner today is Rick CLUNN, 4-time world champion, and he's fishing the back seat. CLUNN elected to go to his partner's fish. As good as the smallmouth fishing is south of Clayton, tournament-savvy pros know that finding a largemouth pattern in the backwater weed beds off the St. Lawrence River can be the key to winning. Lake of the Isles produced 45 pounds, 12 ounces on a topwater rat in September 1990. Indiana's Dusty Pine did it. But things have changed this mid-September tournament. There's less grass, and the bass run smaller. Adjusting is the name of the game. DION HIBDON of Missouri is targeting the wood, fishing boathouses. He's an expert at skipping G2 tube lures around and under dock structures, a skill he learned as a boy on Lake of the Ozarks, his home lake. Certainly, the area from Henderson to Chamont Bay is a smallmouth fishing hotspot. Tim Malone's got another one. This will give him a 5 bass limit and around 13 pounds. And Larry Lazone of Florida scores. He's working on a limit in the 15 to 17 pound range. DION HIBDON's boathouse pattern is still paying dividends in the St. Lawrence River area. Light tackle and small tube baits are the keys to the largemouth strikes. Rick CLUNN will cull with this bass. He's got 5 bass in the live well, but they're just average size. From what we've seen, it's obvious 5 bass limits will be common at this afternoon's weigh-in, and 13 pounds won't put you in the top 20 standings. Smallmouth bass like these and Larry Nixon's 16-pound 3-ounce bag will. But the winning strategy here is to find the bigger largemouth bass. And Georgia's Cliff Craft has 5 heavyweights.
18 pounds, 8 ounces. That's tremendous. A 5 bass limit. It must be some nice largemouth in there. Cliff Craft. Now that's some bragging fish. The only problem I see you could have is the wind got up to several knots. What happens then to your fish?
I don't think the wind matters as much as we fished up here. I've had real good days before, and the wind doesn't seem to bother me that much. It's just occasionally the fish just don't bite. I don't get that many bites a day. You know, 6 or 8 bites is all I get, and if I'm fortunate enough to catch or land the fish, I've had a good day, and if I don't, I'm an also ran. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Look forward to it.
With 18 pounds, 8 ounces, Cliff Craft has a 1-pound, 3-ounce lead over Larry Lazone. All-time BASS money winner Larry Nixon and New York's Jeff Tejan tie for 3rd with 16 pounds, 3 ounces. Over half the field, 161 anglers, weighed in 5 bass limits today. But tomorrow's weather forecast is not so promising. Winds over 30 miles per hour and waves 6-footers on the big water. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with more action from New York's Thousand Islands. Day 2, the Bassmaster New York Invitational. Weather conditions, bad to worse. High winds and high waves. Lake Ontario thinks it's an ocean. Gut check time. The usual 45-minute run from Clayton to the Chamont-Henderson Bay area translates into 2 hours of misery. Bone-jarring, nerve-wearing boat handling. Misjudge a wave and you're sitting in an 18-foot bathtub. Jimmy Houston in 7th place made it. However, he speared away, wiping out the driver's windshield. On the return crossing, Houston loses the other windshield and the rear pedestal seat. Larry Lazone in 2nd opts to stay in the St. Lawrence River. Good decision. Houston's fish are not biting. First-round leader Cliff Craft reaches his area on the Canadian side of the St. Lawrence. No problems and a good start. The Suwanee, Georgia pro has a 3-pounder in the boat when our camera crew arrives. But hours later, Cliff's hopes are fading. His jig and pork trailer's not the answer today. There'll be no repeat big haul of largemouth. As a matter of fact, none of the leaders repeat. Only 93 5 bass limits are scored. Rick CLUNN in 22nd place yesterday is today's lead story with 15 pounds, 15 ounces. The second round's best catch.
That catch has moved you into the lead. Does that change your strategy any? Are you going to gamble still?
Well, that means if it's twice as rough, I'll still go.
I like your style, spoken like a true champion.
Well, you know, in fishing, you learn everybody talks about confidence and concentration, well, there's actually 3 C's. And when a tournament like this, you got to have one other one, and that's courage. You know, and that's true. In tournaments, to win tournaments, you got to have the courage to fish for the right fish, and those are the right fish, and I just got to go back to them.
Clunn's 2-day total of 29 pounds 7 ounces posts a narrow 13-ounce advantage over DION HIBDON. The Stover, Missouri pro moves up from 6th with 13 pounds 1 ounce today.
You've been one of the most consistent anglers for the first 2 days of this tournament. What does it look like for tomorrow for you?
It's hard to say, you know. A lot of the water I'm fishing is getting fished, but hopefully I'm doing something a little bit different than they are, and we'll see how it ends up.
Day 3, the final round. Only 2 pounds 13 ounces separates the top 10 anglers. The outcome depends on who can reach their fishing locations. The winds, still southwesterly, are increasing to over 30 miles per hour. Tournament leader Rick CLUNN says he needs only 2 hours on his fishing spot. He's working a 2-mile stretch of broken rocks and weeds along a rock bluff in the Henderson Harbor area. Luckily, the wind direction has the bank semi-protected, and his pattern is still holding true. CLUNN is positioning his boat in 25 feet of water and casting to weeds some 10 to 15 feet deep under the surface. But he's not fishing deep. He's using a 3/4 ounce tandem blade spinnerbait. This heavy bait gives him distance, and CLUNN is ripping the lure, waking it just under the surface with a fast retrieve. The smallmouth bass that strike are being pulled from the 10 to 15 feet deep grass line. Also, Rick says, the fast surface retrieve cuts down on the unwanted northern pike bites. CLUNN will cull his catch with this fish. He's already boated a 5 bass daily limit.
All those minnows coming up. I just chunk and spinnerbait as far as I can throw it, and reeling it back as fast as I can reel it. Basically, it's just following these little weed beds down through here, and really, I think the key is just it's the food, though. There's a lot of these little alewives down, or whatever these little minnows are down through here, and that seems to be really what's holding the fish more than anything else. Yeah, and plus they're you know, smallmouth are notorious about hitting the ripping spinnerbait.
DION HIBDON's pattern is different. He's fishing boathouses, docks, and man-made structure located in the St. Lawrence River area. A jig dressed with a plastic crawfish, the Guido bug, has been the key lure. DION, a 2-time qualifier for the Bassmasters Classic, is the son of Guido HIBDON, the 1988 world champion. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with more bass-catching action from the New York Invitational. Rick CLUNN, the tournament leader, has boated over 11 pounds of bass today. He figures a 15-pound final round catch will be needed to win this Bassmaster New York Invitational. This fish will help. The bites have been fewer and further between boathouses for DION HIBDON this morning, but he's hooked a keeper here. The fact that DION is catching largemouth bass may improve his chances. They tend to run larger than the St. Lawrence smallmouth.
Mine's all been smallmouth. I haven't caught any largemouth since practice. Now, my brother's the one that found this place about 3 years ago, Randy Fight. He didn't practice here. He just, when he found out I was coming over with DOWER combs the first day over this area, he said, you need to try this one stretch over here. So that last hour of that day, I came out here and hit this stretch, and it was just loaded with fish. He said he's caught some largemouth down through here. But it's mostly, I think you're gonna have to slow the bait down to catch the largemouth right now in here. I figure I got, you know, maybe 14 pounds, and you know, everything's so close in this type of tournament that it's just somebody catches a big string. You know, I was hoping to catch, you know, 13 to 16 pounds when I came, so I can't be too disappointed with what I've done. Now the question is just get back.
The final weigh-in for the $188,000 New York Invitational. To the winner, $35,000. And Rick Clunn does make it back. With 14 pounds, 11 ounces, his three-day total of 44 pounds, 2 ounces marks his 11th career BASS win. And it came with 15 smallmouth bass.
Would you have thought when the tournament started with a strategy that you could have won with all smallmouth?
No, not really. Historically, this time of year with the water this warm, it takes largemouth to win it, but I just couldn't get anything going on with largemouth. And thanks to, you know, DOWER combs and my brother Randy Fight really is why I caught these fish. DOWER is my first day partner, and he took me over there. And when I went over there and we fished his fish and got limits off his fish, well, Randy said, if you're going over there, you might try one of these places I fished about 3 years ago. So in the last hour, I run over there, and it was just loaded with fish, and that's where I've been fishing that one stretch since the last 2 days.
The final standings: Rick Clunn's winning margin, 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Shaw Grigsby and Joe Thomas finished deadlocked for second with 41 pounds, 14 ounces. They earned $22,000 each. And Joe Thomas earned every dime of his payday. He fished in another area code at the south end of Lake Ontario, almost in Rochester, New York.
But 2 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes like I was running, you just get so tired and you concentrate on every individual wave, and finally you mess up and you end up spearing one every now and then. Your partners get beat up. So, you know, I just thank God for letting me have good good equipment, and it stayed together all week. You know, good boat, good motor, and I appreciate Jerry Ryan very much for allowing me to go where I went today. As it turned out, he and I are going to be real tight at the top there, but he could have very easily said no, he didn't want to take the ride, but he did, and I really appreciate that.
The balance of the top 10 finishers includes Cliff Kraft, the first-round leader, in 8th place. Challenger HIBDON slipped to 18th, the last round. And Randy Fight, who pointed Rick Clunn in the right direction, ranked 15th.
We happened to sit down and look at the map, and I happened to mention that spot, and fortunately, it's one of the few times I've been able to help him. He's helped me a lot in the past.
Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler, the most comfortable jeans known to man.
I won the New York Invitational this year throwing a 3/4 ounce Stanley Vibra-Shaft spinnerbait. What's unique about this spinnerbait is the new wedge willow leaf blade. Basically, what I mean by wedge is it actually tapers. It's thin up front, and it tapers and gets thicker toward the end. What this creates, for that size blade, it creates the equivalent vibration of a conventional number 6. To me, this is especially a large advantage, like we had in New York, a lot of high wind. I was trying to cast the bait a long ways in the clear water. And it's you that have fished the big number 6s, number 7 willow leaves know they tend to helicopter on you, and so it's hard to throw them a long ways. So if you want the flash of a number 6 or 7, then you go ahead and stay with that size blade. But if you really want just the vibration, and yet you want to be able to throw it a long ways, and then this allows you to kind of step down the size by using the wedge type blade.
Rick Clunn, he's a winner, a true champion, in a test of skill and courage. But keep one thing in mind. These are professional anglers and experienced bass boat handlers. Be a safe boater. Rough waters, not for the inexperienced. Next week, our cameras will be on the Potomac River at Charles County, Maryland, for the Bassmaster BP Top 100. You'll be alongside the bass catching action and learn the leader's techniques. Join us. For the Bassmasters, I'm Bob Cobb. See you all next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Johnson Outboards. Wouldn't it be nice if everything else were as dependable as your Johnson outboard? Ranger Boats. We still build them one at a time. DuPont Stren Fishing Lines. Bass Pro Shops, world's largest supplier of premium tackle. Chevy Trucks, the trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last. Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. Berkeley Power Baits, fortified with flavor and scent enhancers so powerful fish just won't let go. Lubrimatic, the lubrication specialists. Abu Garcia, the world's finest fishing tackle. Wrangler, the official jeans and shirts of the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. And the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, the world's largest bass fishing organization.